Welcome today to Maria Jesus Martinez English lesson. So, what's the lesson for today? Well, it is reported speech. So, one more video about English grammar, and in this case, what we're going to focus is what's reported speech, the changes that affect person, place, time, also the tenses, and then we will focus on the types of reported speech, like statements, orders and requests, questions, and questions are divided into two sections, which are WH questions, yes, no questions, and as I always do, I will leave you some links for you to practice. So, let's get it started. So, what's reported speech about? We have to know that in reported speech, we give the meaning of what was said instead of the exact words. So, with our words, we try to reproduce what happened. So, I don't know if you are familiar with this picture in which there was a confrontation in the Spanish royal family. So, this image has gone viral all over the world, and many newspapers and many TV channels and news programs have been speaking about this royal confrontation in Spain. One of them was the online newspaper Express that claimed that there was a royal bathtub and the Spanish Queen Letizia pushes mother-in-law away from children. Now, how can we say that in indirect or reported speech? Well, this is the direct speech. Remember that in this case you have to write the sentence using inverted commas, and in indirect speech we would have the following version. It is, the Express newspaper informed that Spanish Queen Letizia pushed mother-in-law away from children. So now you can see how different changes have been made in some words, in verbal tenses, and so on. So some typical verbs of reported speech are announce, answer, explain, mention, promise, reply, say, suggest, tell, warn. And now we will see the changes. Changes occur in person, time, and place on the first hand. So I recommend that 1. You follow your logic. This is especially important because in Spanish the changes are very, very similar. So first of all, think a little bit about these changes. And after that, of course, take a look at this table in which you can see the different changes, which refer to person, place, and especially time. So now would become then at the time, today, that day, yesterday, the day before, or the previous day, and so on. Now, there are also changes that affect verbal tenses, and this is something that you should really take into consideration, because they're really important. So, let's take a look at them. Direct, we've got the present, it is Peter, I work in the garden. Peter said that he worked in the garden, from present to past. Now, in these 3 cases, I worked in the garden, I have worked in the garden, and I had worked in the garden, we use the past perfect. So that sentence becomes, Peter said that he had worked in the garden. Now, what about the future? Well, that's very easy. We have to know that will becomes would. So, I will work in the garden turns into Peter said that he would work in the garden. Now, can becomes could. May becomes might. And these modal verbs remain the same. These are would, could, might, should, and up to. So now let's see how statement works. Where in declarative sentences, which are affirmative and negative sentences, we normally use the verbs say and tell. We often use that, but sometimes we can leave it out. Say and tell have got the same meaning, but they are used with a different structure. Because We use say when we do not mention the hearer. And also if we want to mention the hearer, that's the person that we are speaking to, we use to. Look, Sarah's boss said she could leave early and the boss wanted to say something to Sarah. And we use tell if we want to mention the hearer, the person that we're speaking to. So, Sarah's boss told her she could leave early. Now, what about orders and requests? That's when you want someone to do you a favor, when you want something to do something for you. And so, in orders and requests, we use the verbs tell and ask. So, ask is more polite than tell, but it's got a very similar meaning. And in the affirmative, they work like this. They work with the preposition to. So, please move this car. Could become a policeman told me to move the car in reported speech. And the sentence, please turn the music down, becomes we asked our neighbors to turn the music down. Now, what about the negative? In the negative, the structure that we use is tell or ask someone not to do something. So, the sentence, please don't leave the door unlocked, could become Mr. Atkins told Mark not to leave the door unlocked. And the sentence, please don't wear those boots in the house, becomes, in reported speech, I asked you not to wear those boots in the house. Our next step, our next section has to do with questions. So, remember that there were two types of questions. Open questions that start with a question word. Some question words are what, who, how, or why, and some introductory verbs are ask, wonder, question, or want to know. And this is how we can form these questions. We always have to use the question words from the sentence in the direct speech. So, look, in the first example, we've got, when did you start acting, Melissa? So here we've got when. And the reported speech sentence is, Guy asked Melissa when she had started acting. In the second case, we've got, how can we find out? Here the question word is how. So in the reported speech version, we've got, I wondered how we could find out. And to finish, we've got, where can we eat? In this case, the question word is where, so the reported question is, they wanted to know where they could eat. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but in a reported question, the subject comes before the verb as in a statement. So again, please take a look at reported speech in questions, because there you can see how the verb comes after the subject. And our last section is yes/no questions. And again, these have if or whether. They've got the same meaning, so you can choose if or whether, you can choose the one you prefer, and these are the ones that are going to introduce the reported sentence, the reported question. So, let's take a look at the examples. Here we've got, has the taxi arrived yet? And reported version is, someone wondered if or whether the taxi had arrived yet. 2. Can we take photos? The visitors wanted to know if, whether they could take photos. And number 3 is there a cafe nearby? So the reported version is, Daniel asked if, whether there was a cafe nearby. So please remember that in a reported question, the subject comes before the verb. Be really careful with that. And now I'm going to leave you just 2 links that will take you to practice websites, and I especially recommend that you visit the first one, because there you will find the different types of reported sentences that we've seen in this presentation, and they're also arranged in levels. You'll find the statements, the requests, and the questions, and it's going to be a great basis for you to do more advanced activities, and I am sure that you prefer doing them online instead of doing them in a written manner. Okay, so just take a look at them and just practice and test your knowledge. And to finish, I am going to show you one of my pictures. This time it is in a place that's not so far away. In fact, it is in Dubrovnik in Croatia in 2010. And so thank you very much for watching, and see you another day with a new video. Bye!